A bit of the funding that comes to municipalities is not necessarily coming from ratepayers and communities themselves. It also comes through the national fiscus. So there needs to be alignment between the budget process of national government and the budget process of a municipality. The council must 10 months before the start of the financial year actually have a schedule of its budget process. And in that specific schedule, it must indicate, for example, how it is going to consult what its stakeholders, in this case would be the communities to which they're going to be rendering the services. By the 31st of March, for the new financial year coming, the municipality must table a draft budget.
As a mayor, your role is to make sure that you guide that whole process in terms of when does it start, at what point do you consult with the communities, because you've got to physically go and consult with the communities. At what point does the draft come? At what point then do you go out and consult on what is drafted and approved by council, what you would finally publish to the community?
From August to March, there's quite a bit of interaction between the municipality, within the council, within its own bureaucratic hierarchy on that, but there's also interaction between the municipality, its administration, and the National Treasury, where the Treasury actually assists the municipality in coming up with what is known as a credible budget. Between March until the end of June is a process up to the adoption of the budget. A big chunk of the time actually is spent by councillors, the mayor and his council, to actually consult with communities and the rest of the stakeholders on what would actually be in the budget. And it provides them with an opportunity on whether their own priorities as they perceive them are actually captured properly within the budget.
The responsibilities of the councillor responsible for finance does not actually differ from an ordinary councillor, because the first responsibility is to represent the community.
We can't do it without community participation. We have to encourage it at all times.
And it draws from the Constitution that our system of local government needs to be transparent, but also at the same time it needs to be accountable to the citizens, because indeed the citizens are the ones that actually finance the provision of those specific civic services.
The role of the mayor then, when it comes to financial management of the council, is also to monitor your budget in terms of the implementation. Because it is at the implementation of the budget that sometimes things go wrong. Now, you've got to make sure, firstly, that what you produced as a budget and your IDP is converted into a service delivery budget implementation plan.
Should a municipality not have tabled that budget or approved, the council didn't approve that budget basically on time, you run the risk that communities may withhold some of the taxes that they actually need to pay for you there, because for them, they will clearly have a view that you don't have a legal basis to collect the money.
Tariffs policy, the rates policy, the credit control policy, the indigent policy. Those policies are critical, because that's where the municipality will measure and benchmark whether they're going to do it or they won't do it. Without those policies, you'll be working as a municipality in a vacuum. You won't even have a legal standing in court if you want to collect something from anybody who owes you, or revenue from any outstanding consumer. You cannot even take that person to court because you don't have policies that guide you.
To me, your treasury department is actually the engine room within a municipality. If that engine room comes to a standstill, there is no service delivery. And therefore, the leadership of the MMC for Finance is of critical importance.
Your Section 71 reports are your reports that you get monthly. And these reports that you get monthly will get to tell you the performance of the municipality in terms of income, expenditure, whether what you are spending is in line with what you are getting. In January, you produce a Section 72. Now, it then would actually tell you that in 6 months' time, this is what we have done. This is how far you have implemented your SDBIP. It will even project that by the end of the year, if you continue in this particular pace, you would have spent so much. So it gives you the time and the opportunity for you in January then to revise your budget if you want to adjust it. These are the two tools that allow you to actually change the direction and the performance of the municipality. So as a mayor, you've got to be on top of these things. You must use these tools. This is what I think is the way of monitoring your municipality and your role in terms of financial management, budgeting processes and IDP in a municipality.
The councillor should not be involved in the day-to-day administration of a municipality. And the important role of the councillor actually is to make sure that there's a credible budget process, for example. What is important is that the IDP is aligned with the budget. What is important is to make sure that the municipality in itself remains on a positive path of fiscal sustainability, that it can fund its operations on its own. So the council and the councillors, in a way, must not only be involved in the budget process, they must make sure on the oversight that spending takes place along the lines of what is promised in the budget and in the IDP. Unauthorized expenditure is you have budgeted, say, I'm going to spend 100 Rand. Right? But for some reason, on that item, you spend 110 Rand. There could be a reason why you've spent the extra 10 Rand. So some of those unauthorized expenditures are allowed by the system. But let's say I'm municipality X. I'm going to take 20 of my community members on some kind of an excursion to Cape Town. Right? They're impoverished, you want to expose them to the beach, and you want to take them there. Right? That's wasteful expenditure. Number one, it doesn't appear in your budget at all. And you're incurring an expenditure that you haven't actually planned for.
Gone are the days of thumbsucking. If you thumbsuck, you put your municipality into danger because you are not going to be able to provide services to the community.
Once there is a toy on the streets and you start to realize that there are problems when you see the toy, it means there hasn't been any monitoring. Because if you monitor in terms of your councillors, your officials and your community, warning signals will be detected early.
They elect us as councillors, they put us in government. Councillors must make sure that they manage community needs because they've been given mandates by the community. It doesn't matter from which political party. Once you are a councillor, when you go into council, you must all know that you are obliged to provide and adhere to the community mandates. You must make sure that you better the lives of the community.